you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Livin the Dream podcast. Today, we are going to cover the topic of training to help you reach for your health, fitness, and wellness goals and in order to live your dream life. Yesterday on Mindset Monday, we kicked off Fascia Week by talking about the difference between living on your body versus living in your body. And today, we are going to talk about turning that mindset into movement, because awareness is powerful. But awareness without action doesn't really change your tissue. So today is about how fascia actually adapts and what that means for how you should train. Let's start with something simple. Most people think training is all about the muscles. Build muscles, get stronger, burn calories. And yeah, muscle matters. Muscle is one of my favorite topics, but fascia is the system that organizes that muscle. Fascia is what transfers force between muscles. Fascia is what stabilizes joints. And fascia is what gives you spring, efficiency, and resilience, bouncy. It's that dynamic movement. You don't just move with muscles. You move through fascia. So let's slow this thing down just for a second. What the heck is fascia? Scientifically speaking, fascia is a continuous connective tissue network made primarily of collagen fibers, elastin, and water-rich ground substance. Fascia, it wraps around every muscle. It surrounds every organ in your body. It connects to tendons, ligaments, joint capsules. It has nerves and blood vessels. There are different layers of fascia. You have superficial fascia right under the skin. You have deep fascia surrounding all your muscles. You even have visceral fascia supporting your organs. But here's the key. It's all one system. There are no true breaks. Like a spider web, if you were to pull on one end of the spider web, the entire system would be affected. There are no true breaks. From the bottom of your feet to the top of your head, fascia forms one interrupted web. When I first realized what this meant, it blew my mind. That's why tension in your calves can affect your hips. That's why shoulder stiffness can influence your neck. That's why posture in one area changes how you move everywhere. Are you pretty sure that you have one leg that's longer than the other? Or do you have one shoulder that rises up a little higher than the other? 99% of the time, it's not an actual structural thing from your bones actually being longer, unless there was like an accident or that's how you grew or whatever. But 99% of the time, it is this fascia being formed and pulled in one direction, causing the other side of the body to do something different. It's crazy. Your body is not separate parts. It's one connected tensional system. Now, here's what makes fascia so important. Fascia transmits force between muscles. It stabilizes joints. It organizes your posture. It contributes to your balance and your coordination. It plays a major role in pain perception. And it's loaded with sensory receptors that constantly communicate with your nervous system. Your fascia has more neural connections than muscle. So when you think like, I have this pain right here, what's going on? It's probably a muscular tear. Hold on just a second. We might not entirely know. There could be so many things that it could be. In many ways, fascia is the interface between your muscles and your brain. Muscles create force, but fascia distributes force. Without a healthy fascia, strength doesn't transfer well. You might be strong on paper, but inefficient or stiff or fragile in real life. You may know someone like this. And unlike muscle, fascia doesn't respond. It doesn't just respond to weight. Fascia responds to sustained tension, direction of load, meaning is it loading me from the top like a barbell squat? Is it loading me from the side like a banded rotation? Am I holding it in my hands and is it loading me that way? Fascia responds to speed of movement. It responds to variability of patterns. It even responds to things like hydration status and your nervous system tone, which means that fascia is shaped not only by your workouts, but also by how you sit and how long you sit, by how you stand. Do you stand on one leg and kind of shift your weight over to one side while you're talking to someone? It responds to how you walk, to how you breathe, to how you live. Now, let me simplify. I want to simplify this just for a second. If muscles are the engines, fascia is the suspension system. Muscles produce power, but fascia connects everything together. It absorbs shock, it transfers energy, and it gives movement its bouncy spring. Or think of it like this: muscle is the gas pedal, but the fascia is the transmission. If your transmission isn't working well, all of that power, it goes nowhere. Another way to picture it: fascia is like a full body spider web made of elastic fabric. When one area tightens, the whole web feels it. When one area moves well, the whole system benefits. That's why foam rolling your feet can change how your hips feel. I've done this trick with people before where I ask you to try to touch your toes, and someone that's really stiff in the backside, they'll just like reach down and their hands barely get to their knees. And then I have them do a tennis ball or a foam roller, and I have them roll their feet, and they can go an extra 6 inches to 12 inches down towards their toes. Did I just make them more flexible by rolling their feet? No. I released the tension in that huge connected spider web that gave them the ability. It gave them the permission to be able to go into that further position that they normally wouldn't. That's why opening up your chest can improve your breathing. That's why rotating the rotation of your spine can actually affect how you walk, jog, or run. Nothing is isolated. And here's the part that matters for training. Fascia adapts to whatever stress that you repeatedly expose it to. So if you move slowly and in straight lines only, your fascia is going to organize for slow, straight lines. If you never jump, it forgets how to store elastic energy. If you never rotate, fascia stiffens. If you sit most of the day, your fascia becomes dehydrated and it thickens. But if you load the fascia, if you stretch the fascia, if you rotate it and bounce it and move through space like we were meant to, incredible things happen. It becomes stronger. It becomes springier. It becomes more resilient. And that's why two people with similar muscle mass can move in completely different ways. One person may look athletic. The other one may look stiff. Same muscles, different fascia. And I see this every single day coaching all these different bodies in group fitness. I'll have two members with similar strength on paper, same goblet squat weight, same deadlift numbers, but one moves smoothly, gets up off the floor without using their hands easily, recovers super fast, and feels and looks athletic. The other looks bound up and stiff and tight and beat up, even though they're technically just as strong as the first person. The difference might not be muscle. It might be connective tissue quality. It might be movement history. It's whether their body has learned elasticity or has their body learned bracing. And that brings us all the way back to training, because once you understand what fascia is, you realize strength alone usually isn't enough. And here's the key. Fascia doesn't adapt the same way that muscle does. Muscles love reps and sets and volume. Do a few reps, do a few sets of this exercise and that exercise, and muscle responds fantastically. Fascia responds to how you load it. It cares about the direction of force, the duration of tension, the speed of movement, and the variability of patterns. In other words, fascia adapts to movement quality, not just workload and volume. So if your training only looks like straight line, forward and backwards lifts, machines that lock you into one way of moving, sitting between sets and zero rotation, zero elastic movement, you might build some muscle. You probably will build some muscle, especially if you're eating your protein. But you are undertraining your connective system. And I did this for years. Thank God I played sports, because if I had not played sports and I just did my bodybuilding lifting, who knows where I'd be. And that shows up later as stiffness, joint irritation, loss of bounce, slower recovery, decreased balance, increased injury risk, especially as we age. Not because we age, but because that is the style of movement that we are training our body in. So let's talk about what fascia actually needs. I'm going to give you 4 pillars here. If you hit these consistently, then you're going to be training your fascia, not accidentally, but on purpose. Now, a quick note before we jump into this: if you are newer to training, if you're currently dealing with pain, or if you're coming back from an injury, you must start very small. Fascia responds beautifully to gentle input. This isn't about going super hard in the paint. This is about consistency, and this is about variety, okay? Low dose, but high frequency. Low dose, but high frequency. Pillar number 1, fascia loves long duration tension. Fascia loves time under tension, not just quick reps, but slow, sustained loading. This tells the fibroblasts in your muscle cells, in your fascial cells, the cells that remodel connective tissue, your fibroblasts, to reorganize collagen fibers and improve tissue integrity. Think of your fibroblasts like the little spiders that create the spider web. This looks like, long duration tension looks like isometric holds, wall sits, planks, getting in the bottom of a lunge and staying there. It looks like slow eccentrics, so really focusing on the lowering phase being super slow, 4, 5, 6 seconds or more. It responds to long calf raises, like big, long, slow calf raises. If you were to get on a stair and let your heels drop below the stair height, do that super slow, feel the stretch, get in that and hold it, and then go super slow on the way up and push into your toes and hold it. It responds to stuff like that. Fascia responds to yin style stretches, where you hold a stretch for a long duration of time, 3, 4, 5 minute holds of stretches. This is why slow holds feel different than fast reps. I've told this story before, but I had a member who, he worked so hard. He was such a hard worker, but he did every rep like it was a race. He did 20, 30, 40 reps as fast as he possibly could. And one day I was like, dude, let's try this. Let's try going 4 seconds up and 4 seconds down with half of the weight that you're doing. And it was so hard for him. He was sweating. He was just blown away at how much different it was. That's why Fascia loves slow holds. It feels different than fast reps. You're sending a different signal. You're telling your connective tissue, I want you to adapt right here. So if all you ever do is bounce through your reps, you're going to be missing this layer. The simple rule here is add at least one long hold movement to every single workout. One long hold movement to every single workout. Finish off your workout with a wall sit. Finish up your workout with a static lunge hold. Finish up your workout with slow calf raises. Finish up your workout with where on your body are you feeling pain? Do an exercise for a super slow rep, super slow set, just one time in every workout. Pillar number 1, long duration tension. Moving on to pillar number 2, elastic loading. This is the missing ingredient for most adults. This one is huge. Fascia is an elastic tissue. It's designed to store and then release energy like a spring. But most adults stop training that spring. We sit, we walk, we lift slowly, we move carefully, and we lose bounce. Elastic loading looks like pogo jumps, like what jump roping would be without the jump rope. You could jump rope, of course. I love jump roping. I do it every day. It looks like skipping. You would be so surprised. I have my clients, my personal training clients, do a 5-minute dynamic mobility warm-up, and included in that warm-up always is skipping. And you would be so surprised at how many people have lost the ability to skip. They can jump just fine, maybe like one jump up on a box, but skipping, so important. Elastic loading. It looks like jump rope. It looks like light hops. It looks like bounds, short accelerations. And yeah, my favorite of all, basketball. Basketball is a great way to train your elastic loading. That counts. This trains tendon stiffness. It trains fascial recoil. It trains shock absorption. It trains fast twitch muscle fibers. And it trains your balance. This is what keeps you springy instead of fragile. This is what protects against falls as we age. This is what makes movement feel light instead of heavy. You don't need to do crazy plyometrics. You don't need to go search on YouTube for the craziest elite athletes and what their workouts are. But even just 30 to 60 seconds of gentle bouncing a few times per week makes a difference. Maybe you're not even there yet where you can't just bounce up and down on the balls of your feet, letting your heels gently tap the floor. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you need to connect one of those pull-up bands to a bar above you and hold that band and unload some of your weight. Maybe you need to invest in a rebounder where it takes most of the impact away. Anything is better than nothing. And just a little bit more than you're doing now, think low dose, high frequency. You could do this once a day, every day, for the rest of your life. But low dose. If you don't train elasticity, your body slowly forgets how to use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. Pillar number 2, elastic loading. Moving on to pillar number 3, rotation and multiplanar movement. Rotation and multiplanar movement. Your body is not a straight line machine. You actually walk with a little bit of rotation. You run with rotation. You definitely throw with rotation, and you reach with rotation. Every step you take involves counter rotation between the hips, spine, shoulders, and arms. Yet most gym training happens in straight lines. The bench press, rows, squats, deadlifts, all great movements for strength. But they're incomplete. Fascia is organized in spirals and slings across the body. You have slings from right shoulder to left hip, from left hip to right knee. You have slings all across your body, and everything in fascia is organized in spirals. So it needs to be trained with things like rotational lunges, a reverse lunge with a rotation, a cable chop, one of my favorite exercises, a cable chop or a med ball chop or a med ball throw. Anything that has like a cross body pattern. Anything where you're carrying with offset loads. Maybe you're doing a suitcase carry with a kettlebell in just one arm. Maybe you're doing an overhead carry with a dumbbell overhead. And another thing, I wish I did a lot more, it also needs things like crawling. I took a animal flow class and they did these amazing movements where you were in bear crawl position and crab walk position, these crawling positions that we did so much as kids. But eventually we grew out of it. But if you don't use it, you lose it. Rotation teaches your tissues how to transfer force diagonally across the body. This right here, that is real life strength. That's athleticism, and every person can be an athlete. And not a professional athlete sense. I'm just talking an athlete in their own right where they can be independent and they can move and they can do things without having to worry about injuries or being strong enough or being athletic or coordinated enough. This right here, that's resilience. So add at least one rotational or cross body pattern to your training, maybe once or twice a week. Pillar number 3, rotation and multiplanar movement. The final pillar here, loaded movement through space. Pillar number 4, loaded movement through space. Fascia loves global tension with movement, not just isolated parts. This is where things like carries or rucking, this is where things like sled pushing and pulling, things like crawling and crab walking and walking lunges, that's where this stuff shines. So examples of loaded movement through space, you could do farmer's carries, suitcase carries, front rack carries, any kind of carries. You could do sled pushes or pulls, bear crawls. You can do step-ups with a rotation, step-ups with load. These teach your connective tissues how to organize your whole body under load, not just individual muscles. This is how you build posture under fatigue. This is how you build core integrity, joint stability, and real world strength. If you want a body that works outside of the gym, you need movements that look like this. Now, here's the big picture. Muscle, it gets you strong. Muscle is amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'll continue to talk about muscle for the rest of my life. But fascia determines how that strength shows up. You can have strong muscles and you can still move poorly. You can have strong muscles and you can still feel super stiff. You can even have strong muscles and still be fragile because fascia organizes force. So Training Tuesday isn't about adding more exercises. It's about adding different types of stress that you can have the fascia adapt to. So I'm going to give you a simple fascia-friendly framework you can use in almost any workout, okay? So you can write this down. On your next workout, you are going to do one long hold strength movement. You're going to do one elastic movement. You're going to do one rotational pattern, and you're going to do one carry or global movement. And go back and listen to this episode if you need examples. One long hold strength movement, one elastic movement, one rotational movement, and one carry or global movement. That's it. 4 ingredients. Rotate them throughout your workout however you want. Rotate them into your week however you want. That alone will dramatically change how your body feels over time. And zooming out just for a moment, remember what we said yesterday. Fascia adapts to what you repeatedly do. So this isn't just about workouts. It's about lifestyle movement. Think about getting up off the floor without using your hands. Think about where are you now and how do you get off the floor. And I want you to spend more time on the floor and try to get up using a little less assistance than you normally do. I want you to try to balance on one leg while brushing your teeth, while cooking, while on the phone. Balance on one leg. Take your stairs with intent. Don't use the bottom leg to push off so much, but use the top leg to do a single leg squat to the next stair. Think about walking with your arm swing and how you might rotate a little bit when you're walking. Make it more fluid. Concentrate on a little bit of rotation, a little swag as you walk. Think about changing positions often. Being in one position dehydrates. It thickens the fascia. Changing positions often, it does the opposite. Those micro movements, they matter. They feed the system. They hydrate the fascia. They maintain elasticity. They prevent stiffness from accumulating. Training doesn't start when the workout starts. It starts when you wake up. So here's your Training Tuesday takeaway. Don't just train muscles, train movement. Don't just chase strength, which strength is amazing, but build elasticity as well. Don't just lift in straight lines. Teach your body how to rotate. Don't isolate everything. Bicep curls are great, but don't isolate everything. Carry your body through space because fascia is listening to every pattern that you repeat. Tomorrow on Wellness Wednesday, we're going to talk about recovery, hydration, stress, and how internal environment determines whether this tissue actually adapts or breaks down. But for today, move with intention. Add variety, add bounce, add rotation. Your future joints will thank you. And that's it, my friends. Thank you for joining me on this Training Tuesday episode of the Livin the Dream podcast. Share the knowledge that you gain with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend who could benefit from what we talked about today. And to support this podcast and help it grow, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on and leave a review. Leave a comment on this episode, letting us know how you're incorporating this fascia training and everything else that you learned from this episode. This really is the best non-cost way to help get this important wellness content into more people's ears. Take a screenshot of this episode and post it on your social media stories. Leave one takeaway and tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at Coach Damien_SD and let us know what you learned from this episode. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. We want to know. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Livin the Dream team that we can discuss in future episodes. I will be right here with you working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.